All right, I'm going to do a quick demonstration of proper microscope use. This is one of our standard compound light microscopes that we use in our Bio 113 classroom. And to get started, let's go over some of the basic parts of the microscope. Of course, I have this plugged in already. So these are the oculars. You should use them just like a pair of binoculars. You can actually adjust for your eyes. This part that holds the oculars, you can actually loosen the knob here, and you could potentially even swing that around and let somebody else look at what you have in focus here. But if you do make any adjustments with that, just make sure that you re-tighten that knob, because this whole piece can actually fall off. And obviously we don't want that to happen. So make sure you re-tighten that if you make any adjustments with that. This part of the microscope is known as the arm, and of course here's the base. So the platform where you're going to put your slide to view is called the stage, and I do have an example of a slide here. So proper slide placement, you want to make sure that that slide is all the way back against this metal holder here. And as you can see, this part of the stage clip basically will hit this corner of the slide. And if your slide is properly in place there, you can use these stage adjustment knobs. So I'm actually going to go ahead and turn this one on. You can see that the light comes on. And this slide, obviously it's very out of sync, out of alignment with your condenser, with your light source. So you can use the stage knobs to adjust that. And as you can see, the specimen is now more aligned with the light source here. The lower part of the stage adjustment knobs go back and forth. And the top part goes towards the arm and away from the arm. So basically you just want to make sure that you are adjusting that where your specimen is lined up with that light source. So how do you adjust the amount of light that's coming through? You can use this brightness adjustment knob that's below the power switch here. And if you turn that down, you see that it's visibly not as bright. And then if you turn it all the way up, it's very bright. So I recommend having it close to full brightness, but not quite all the way. Now, the second way that you can adjust the level of brightness for your specimen, if you look below the stage, we have what's called the iris diaphragm. And you can actually slide that. And as you can see, that also adjusts the amount of light. So how much light you need to use for a particular slide just depends. You'll just want to play around with that and get the best level of illumination that you can. In general, the more magnification that you have on a specimen, the brighter your light source will need to be. All right, so let's take a look at the revolving nose piece. The revolving nose piece holds the objective lenses. So the objective lenses magnify your specimen. 4x is actually 40 times the real life size of the specimen, because our oculars have a built-in level of magnification of 10. So to find your total magnification for a specimen, you take your ocular lens power, which again is 10, and multiply it by what's listed on your objective lens. So 4. 10 times 4 is 40. So again, your total magnification is going to be 40. Now that lowest power lens here is also known as the scanning objective. The next one is 10x. So what would your total magnification be for that? Think about that for a moment. That's called the low power lens. And then the high power lens is 40x. And again, so what would the total magnification be if our ocular lens power is 10 and our objective lens power is 40? Now, for the purposes of this class, we will not be using the most powerful lens, which is 100x. That's what's called an oil immersion lens, and it's for viewing very small structures like bacterial cells. We have to actually use a special oil on that lens because it comes into contact with the slide if you're doing it properly. So for Bio 113, we're not going to be using that lens at all. We're just going to be using the first three. Again, scanning power 4x, low power 10x, high power 40x. All right, so proper adjustment to get you started. Kind of a good rule of thumb is to actually use your stage adjustment knobs to raise the stage all the way up, and that's kind of an easy way to make sure you're going to be close to being in focus. So the easiest way to use the stage adjustment knobs is to actually use the ones on the left side of the microscope. The part closest to the base is called the coarse focus. There's more resistance on it, it's harder to turn, but as you can see, it obviously moves the stage up and down. And then this one has less resistance to it, it's easier to turn. It's not at all obvious that it's even making adjustments. That's called the fine focus knob. All right, so again, good rule of thumb, when you're just getting started with a slide, use the coarse focus knob to raise the stage all the way up. Make sure that you start out with the lowest lens, which is, again, the scanning power lens, 4x. And then you can look through your ocular lenses. I have to make some adjustments here to actually get it into focus. You're going to make some adjustments to get it into rough focus, first using the coarse focus, then using the fine focus. You're going to have to raise, or you're going to have to lower the stage ever so slightly, get it into good focus. Let's see if my camera will actually pick this up. It does. It's very difficult to actually get that to work. But that's a nice focused specimen there. Okay, so again, first use the coarse focus, then use the fine to make your final adjustments for clarity. After you have it in focus with the scanning power lens, if you want to view your specimen at a higher level of magnification, go ahead and grasp the revolving nose piece so that low power or 10x objective lens is in place. And then at this point in time, you should not touch that coarse focus knob. These are parfocal lenses, which means that you're going to stay in pretty good focus when you switch from one lens to another. The only adjustment that you should make is with that fine focus adjustment. So I'm going to go ahead and make a bit of an adjustment here. Just a little bit of a turn. And we see that that's in nice focus. Okay, so again, same thing. If you want to view this specimen at a higher level of magnification, don't touch the focus yet. Just go ahead and grasp that revolving nose piece, click that higher lens into place. You'll see that the lens is very close to your slide. That's okay, that's how it needs to be in order to see it. But it is especially important to not touch that coarse focus again. Again, only use that fine focus. Once you have your slide in initial focus at the scanning power lens level, only make adjustments with that fine focus. So that's exactly what I'm going to do here. And we can see that we're at a very high level of magnification here. So our field of view has gotten smaller. We're just looking at a little portion of that specimen now. All right, so how do we basically wrap up microscope work? Good rule of thumb here, go ahead and grasp the revolving nose piece, put your scanning power lens back into place over your specimen, lower the stage all the way with that coarse focus knob. Turn off the power. Definitely take that slide off that you were looking at. Try not to be as clumsy as me. Go ahead and unplug the microscope. Our outlets are a challenge. And then you can place the dust cover over the microscope, and what I recommend doing is actually just loosely draping the cord around the outside like that. That's a really nice way to store your microscope. That way the prongs of the power cord are not wrapped around inside where they might scratch a lens or cause damage. And then of course you'll be able to put those back in the cabinet where they are stored. So that concludes kind of a quick intro to our light microscopes, and everyone will have a chance to practice their use in this class. Let me know if you have any questions.